Thanks to Logitech G and the G432 7.1 surround sound gaming headset for sponsoring this video. To check out the tech behind the G432, click the link in the description. Hello and welcome to Rock Paper Shotgun. Now I hope you don't mind if I lay my cards on the table up front. If you buy one furniture wrecking simulator in 2019, make it Control. You'll see desks mulched into chips by machine gun fire and bookcases flattened with psychic punches. You'll see helpless filing cabinets levitated and turned against their poor brothers and sisters. Hell, those desks got it easy. These ones are doing 10-pin bowling with a vending machine. Put all those powers aside and our hero can just knock desks to the floor with the power of her thighs. By the end of Control, I'd killed more office chairs than Hiss, the possessed ghouls who terrorise the corridors of the oldest house, which is home to the Federal Bureau of Control. For all the game's mysteries, and I'm going to avoid talking story to keep them intact, the one I am keen to return to is what does Remedy have against tables and sofas and plant pots? Did Sam Lake once trap his finger in a drawer? Or is the Finnish studio just giving the old side-eye to their Swedish neighbours for the unstoppable forward march of IKEA? Either way, kicking the shit out of desks is my favourite thing about Control, and something that feels inherently Remedy. This is a studio that has always had an amazing eye for detail, but not at the expense of broader spectacle. And in that furniture wrecking, both of those qualities are mashed together. The mundane minutiae of office experience, and the power to turn that into wood chips and billows of feathers. And if you need further convincing, well, I've got 6 more reasons that this is Remedy's best work yet. But before that, if you enjoy this video as it goes along, could I maybe tempt you to hit the thumbs up button and perhaps subscribe to the channel if you already aren't, because people who do subscribe get the warm inner glow of an industrial furnace, and those that don't, well, they get fed into whatever the hell this is. The choice is yours. To set your minds at ease, not all enemies bleed paperclips and biros. When the Hiss do turn up, Remedy delivers big forceful combat that is true to their action roots. You see, whenever I think of Remedy, I think of Max Payne's constipated face. This is not a fearful face, but the scrunched up anticipation of a man who knows he's going to enter most rooms horizontally and then kill everyone in it. This is the Remedy way. They were making action games before cover shooting became the norm. Their heroes rush in and unleash godlike powers. Okay, Alan Wake was more of a survivalist, but even he managed to turn survival into a fireworks show. Jesse Faden is cut from that Remedy cloth. She has a single gun that magically morphs into a pistol, machine gun, shotgun, rifle or grenade launcher. It has infinite ammo and only requires a short time to recharge. That's a short time you can be throwing objects around with telekinesis, or absorbing incoming hits behind a wall of levitating rubble, or just brainwashing goons to work on your side. I actually kind of feel for these brainwashed guys, possessed by one evil force, turned into a concrete monster, and then possessed into a goodie again. I mean, you're going to have therapy bills out the wazoo. Throw in the need to collect dropped pellets to regain health, and you have combat that asks you to push the attack and then gives you the tools to fill that push with endless carnage. Faden reminds me most of Quantum Break's Jack Joyce, in the way that powers keep momentum going and combine to let you toy with these ghouls, whether closing the distance with an evasive dash to deliver that psychic slap, or upgrading your force pool to let you pluck weakened enemies and use them as projectiles. The first few times you meet these flying chair bastards, you live in fear of their dive-bombing ways, but once you pull one of them into your grip, you realise you're basically carrying your granddad in his favourite chair. Grandma would probably frown on you using Gramps as a missile. And just look at this stuff. I know we're encouraged to look beyond slick surface details, even slicker if you lavish them with impressive real-time reflections on an RTX card. but there is an undeniable pull in the sheer spectacle of Control. Probably shouldn't come as a surprise from the brains who gave us Max Payne's sniper bullet cam, but Control really knows how to sell you on the strength of your powers. I've banged on enough about prop destruction, but so much of the environment can bear big scars from your handiwork, from giant porcelain tree pots that you chip into, to wood-clad office walls that split under fire. The oldest house is a delightfully brittle world, almost stupidly so considering the dangerous nature of the Bureau's work. It's a bit like a bull farmer deciding to raise his animals in a china shop. This place cracks and shatters with the gentlest push, and a gentle push is Jesse's baseline. Or look at the animation of the abilities themselves, hundreds of tiny touches to convey the magic at your fingertips, like picking up a projector and using a public service announcement as an elaborate torch. Or the nervous wobble of flight, like a pantomime Peter Pan trying to master wirework. Another favourite is how when you pull an object towards you, you see bits of dirt and tiny screws circling the prop. Yes, a power so raw it can reach all those hard to clean places. I mean, that basically makes Jesse a Dyson Cyclone V10, and do you know how freaking expensive those things are? Or even better, hold a levitating prop and your throbbing energy causes other small items to slowly raise off the ground. It really feels like someone has had huge fun bringing these abilities to life. And speaking of levitation, Jesse's flight ability is a burst of pure spectacle. Not just the means to zip up to higher ground or get the drop on guards, but a choice to pull away and survey all the trouble you're causing from the best seat in the house. You can still do all your other moves in the air too, so now you're dropping vending machines on people from above with one hand and sniping off troops with the other. Throw in some brainwashed guards and it's basically like playing a really odd top-down strategy game. Her flight is probably too powerful in truth, but as you wobble through the air cackling, the last thing on your mind is, I wish I could be doing less of this. In truth, Control is not a difficult game for many of the reasons outlined already. Extreme power and vulnerability is a difficult balancing act, almost as hard as the mix of casual, yet informative analysis that we strike in these videos. But it also has something to do with the light RPG mechanics Remedy are toying with for the first time. While you have a traditional skill tree slowly boosting Jesse with heavier item levitation or multiple brainwash targets, you also have weapon and personal mods that take the form of stat buffs. These items have more in common with loot drops than traditional collectibles. They come in degrees of rarity and you often get things that are meaningless to you. Weapon mods for weapon forms you've yet to craft, for example, or upgrades to the shield power. Now, I'm not knocking the shield, but if you'd rather invest juice in the power to hide behind rocks instead of throwing TVs at ghosts, then I'm not sure you and I will ever be friends. At the end of the day, what this really does is let you take an already formidable moveset and buff it into something unstoppable. Even with a limit of 3 personal mods and 3 weapon mods, and those slots have to be crafted with rare materials first, you are able to transform skills and weapons. For example, by stacking mods that increase the energy efficiency of launch, I can perform my telekinetic move on tap. I walk into a room and just ping-pong scenery between Jesse and whatever is silly enough to be standing opposite Jesse. I'm not even looking for a specific item to grasp, just hammering the button for a lucky dip. Oh, it's a fire extinguisher. Hey, it's a janitor's cart. Whoa, it's the guy I just hit with the janitor's cart. Likewise, with damage modifiers to the service weapon's grip form and an extra bump for headshots, even this basic form can hit like a desert eagle, and it quickly became my sole weapon of choice for the second half of the game. But rather than see it as a nuked difficulty curve, and don't get me wrong, there are definitely tougher challenges hiding away in the game, mainly in the side missions, I really liked finding this loot system inside a shorter narrative-driven game. It's all the nerdy fun of piecing together an optimal character build, but played out in fast forward over 15 or so hours. Not so short that you don't get time to grow, but not so long that you have to wait for ages for something fun to turn up. It's a looter-shooter for the impatient, which is not something I ever expected from a relatively linear third-person shooter. Now, I call it relatively linear as Control has elements of a Metroidvania, again a pleasant surprise given Remedy's linear back catalogue. But as with the loot, it's almost a lighter take on the genre. Yes, there are powers required to navigate certain obstacles, and a system of numbered keycards gives you reason to backtrack and wreck previously untouched desks. But at the same time, Remedy's desire to tell a particular story means their hand is never far from the steering wheel. Follow the main story objectives and Control doesn't feel very Metroidy at all. There's some forced backtracking to a main hub room, but the main story path gives you a thorough tour of the oldest house. What Remedy does do well, however, is inject side missions with enough character that you are lured from that main path and encouraged to sniff out the secrets. Whether you're helping the janitor/Gary Oldman lookalike clean out mould, or hunting down a crew of renegade soldiers, there's a tangible reason to seek out every hidden nook. And while the oldest house isn't a 3D maze to rival, say, Metroid Prime, it does do one of my favourite Metroidy tricks of giving you a power, in this case flight, that reveals loads of new stuff hidden in areas you thought exhausted. All of a sudden you're zipping around unseen heights and remembering all the battles that played out below. It's really the only power that has any transformative impact in the game, but it is a good one. Will Metroidvania fans dig it? I think they'll find it too simplified and missing some key ingredients. I mean, it has a terrible map screen for starters that totally fails to convey height and often appears to be missing several rooms and paths. It's also a shame that there's no in-game measurement of stash boxes found. The completionist in me wants to know when the oldest house has been stripped clean. Hardened Metroid fans may also be thrown by the fact that secret stash boxes contain random mods or crafting materials. There is a disposable vibe to them that you just don't get from a proper health upgrade or new piece of kit. These are the quibbles of a Metroid fan, however. As a Remedy fan, I enjoy having a reason to spend more time in their world.
Strong suit.
When you combine everything I've talked about, the playful powers, the character evolution, the non-linear world, Control feels far more open to being played with than Remedy's previous games. It doesn't turn the combat tap on and off as the story demands, which is something Quantum Break did, but finds heaps of ways to keep you engaged. This could be the simple respawning of enemies as you backtrack, never a chore when you've got a new power or weapon to test on them. But it's more substantial than that. When you pause at control points, you can sign up for board countermeasures, which are smaller action milestones, not dissimilar to daily challenges in a live service game. This is definitely Control at its most artificial and gamiest, but the objectives encourage you to use weapon forms or powers that you might have ignored up until then, which in turn leads you down that path of tinkering with mods to get those abilities more battle ready. That you are then rewarded with more mods only feeds into that delicious loop. You also get Bureau alerts, which are random incursions that see specific rooms host timed events, like wiping out a squad of extra strong enemies, or protecting hapless agents, or, well, let's not kid ourselves, it's all variations on kill the things. But it's good to see areas you've cleared out repurposed for rougher encounters, and it's quite cute to play into Jesse's role as the put-upon director of the Bureau, sorting out everything herself. It almost inspired me to stop delegating all my workload to Astrid and Alice. Almost. I mentioned Jesse's directorship there, and I hope you don't mind that I've not gone any deeper into her story. I think Remedy are a proven talent at telling stories in fun set pieces, and explaining how they elevate those scenes here would rob you of some really cool stuff. Needless to say, the oldest house is constantly misbehaving, and Remedy have a huge amount of fun with head-spinning scene shifts and a run of puzzling clashes with a range of seemingly harmless everyday items. My only other word of advice is to take your time and really drink in the supporting documents and watching Remedy's signature TV broadcasts.
Just look at it. 8 inches wide and capable of storing a whopping 80 kilobytes.
Yes, audio logs and backstory documents have been done to death, but when it's done with this level of care and tell the story of a world this intriguingly constructed, you will forgive its old habits. I'm less sold on the creepy as shit puppet show. I mean, why don't they just do some reruns of Captain Baseball Bat Boy instead? There's other stuff for long-term fans. It's interesting seeing how Control slots into the wider Remedy-verse, and there are some lovely nods to the studio's Finnish homeland that give it a personal touch I found very endearing. In fact, while this is on paper their most abstract world to date, it's easily their most human. From NPCs freaking out about their messed up situation to that aforementioned clash of office drudgery and supernatural oddness. Like everything in Control, it shows a maturity. After Quantum Break, which had lots to love but felt muzzled by its weird TV show/game hybrid structure, this is Remedy back on form and taking a bit of a hammer to that form in the process. It's easily their most playable game, exploring and executing its mechanics with as much care as it gives the story. I thought it was fab, and I really wouldn't be surprised to see Remedy adding some Game of the Year awards to their shelves. Well, as long as some maniac doesn't smash them off the wall first. Thanks for watching this look at Control. I hope it has answered your questions about the game. If it hasn't, why not pop your questions in the comments below, or watch Alice's earlier preview. It has more details on the story and other good stuff like that. And thanks again to Logitech G for sponsoring this video. Featuring 50mm audio drivers, a 6mm mic and DTS Headphone X 2.0 surround sound technology under the hood, the G432 headset immerses you in the action and ensures you'll always be heard for a complete gaming experience. Find out how to order yours by following the link in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, I'd love for you to let us know either in the comments or by hitting the thumbs up button. And if you really like the video, you can subscribe to the channel. We'll try our best to only bring you fun PC related things. So thanks for watching, and I will hopefully see you soon. Bye for now.